Codex Necrons, 3rd edition, page 63, written by Phil Kelly, with congratulations to him on Age of Sigmar, 3rd edition, narrated by R.J. Bailey. I have seen the doom of the universe. It waits, ever patient, at the end of the twisting, spiraling path that the young races have wrought for themselves. Like some malignant, patient beast, it lingers, unseen. But this horror is neither nameless nor unheralded. The potential for its sundered birth squatted within the minds of its masters long before Isha's tears fell. The black seed of its creation was sown long aeons past, and it has grown strong. I have seen the proud sons of Asoyan dwindle away to mere pockets of resistance on the cusp of the galactic wastes. I have seen the infinity circuits themselves, the lifeblood of craft worlds, sucked dry in obscene feasts. The lesser races war among themselves, unaware of the horrifying fate that awaits them, the reward of their intolerance. I have seen the Monkai brutally shorn of their precious civilization, reduced to a weak and frail shadow of their gaudy temporal grandeur. No more do their brutish warriors wage their xenocidal wars. They could not fight against the inevitability of time. No more does their corpse god's pallid beacon sputter and crackle in the warp. His feeble flame was long since extinguished. His appetite for souls was as nothing next to the ageless hunger of the Ingir. I have seen column upon column of shambling, hopeless figures trudging through the ashen dust, herded forth by the gleaming traitors, plucked from the imperfect womb of their race. These gods are terrible indeed, their cold perfection a stark contrast to their sick and wasted charges. They drive them into the insatiable mouths of megalithic portals that punctuate the landscape like vast, black parasites, aligned in a blasphemous architecture of despair. I have seen a sickly emerald sky, stabbed continuously by great columns of soul light that pour from the crests of these foul monoliths, nourishing the ancient and ascendant deities that permeate the blighted atmosphere. Their miasmic presence is everywhere, in every shallow breath taken by their bipedal herd, in every milky and despairing eye. Their mocking laughter resonates in the soul of each and every one. I have seen the mark of the Ngir on the young and old alike, lest the others in their sacrilegious pantheon turn their deadly attentions to the wrong flock. They populate the geometric schism of changeless real space that the Ngir have worked long millennia to construct. A psychic void, the warp, cannot exist there. The spirit cannot exist there. I have seen the infernal machineries of the dragon, powered by the tired limbs of those which are designed to consume, the exhausted husks that can work no more, transmuted into brief flares of light. Hundreds of serried, fleshy forms, riddled with sockets and plugs, bleed their essence into the pulsing green heart of the machine. I have seen the sprawling landscape of fear that the Master of Death has created, its craven inhabitants wading half-mad with terror through seas of blood. For the Destroyer savours the taste of dread, and cultivates it in his herd, his phantoms plaguing the living with premonitions of their inevitable demise. Then, at the peak of their horror, he feeds. I have seen the writhing, inverted geometries of the outsider curl and tighten around his harvest as they clamber and crawl like vermin around his illogical labyrinth. Barely a shred of sanity exists in the broken minds of his prey, enough to comprehend the fact that they cannot escape this hideous paradigm, but not enough to quell the traitorous seed of hope that slithers, unfulfilled, within their breast. I have seen the jackal god's prey wander in a deluded reverie, imagining the lush grass of the Elysian fields, when their bloodied feet trail through sharp stones and vitrified bone. Their toothless mouths twist into vapid smiles of the ignorant as they wander into the soul forges, believing they are coming home. But I have seen many things, as my soul has wandered the myriad paths of the future. I have seen both the death and the birth of stars. I have walked the very borders of the universe within the confines of my mind, and I know that the future is not immutable. The in-gear can be stopped, their nascent labors undone before they come to terrible fruition. This knowledge is the most precious of all. I have seen the doom of the universe. And yet, I have seen hope. Attributed to Farseer Maechu of Ulthwé. You have been listening to Codex Necrons, 3rd edition, page 63, written by Phil Kelly, narrated by R.J. Bailey. Thank you to Phil Kelly for writing the fiction that I grew up with. Thank you to Graham McNeill for helping attribute the right authors to their individual stories. This production, like all of Codex, is entirely unofficial and uncommercial. From an out-of-print publication, is a derivative work with all copyrights owned by Games Workshop, and is a celebration of the hobby and lore I grew up with. If you have suggestions for other old Codex fiction for me to narrate on this channel, you can comment or contact me on Twitter @RJBailey. Links are in the show description. You can follow Phil Kelly on Twitter @PhilKellyWords, and you can follow Graham McNeill on Twitter @GrahamMcNeill. You can also find his website at graham-mcneil.com.